The Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has announced a new plan to what he describes as the province's most pressing challenges, collectively dubbed the G13 Plus One. Addressing media earlier on today, Lesufi outlined a targeted campaign to confront issues ranging from water shortages and electricity cuts to crime, cable theft and corruption.
We have taken a constitution during the State of the Province address to identify what we call G13 Plus One, which are 13 problems that are being our province. This runs from water, electricity, cable theft, crime, corruption, mushrooming of informal settlement, and many other things that we have identified as the problems that besiege our province. So we've been meeting with executive mayors of each and every municipality, and I've also been meeting collectively to ensure that all these matters are tracked, attended to, and finalized. So on the 25th of July, we received the following reports. 1, the state of readiness for the Group of Leaders Summit, commonly known as the G20. 2, report from the cities of Tshwane and Johannesburg on the state of readiness for the Urban 20. The two municipalities are also hosting an Urban 20 meeting of all municipalities across the globe. 3, the state of Gauteng municipal finances for the period ending 31st of May 2025. The state of local government performance. Here, we are tracking service delivery measures and intervention. You'll recall there was a serious protest in Tembisa about electricity. We picked it up through the service delivery measures and intervention mechanisms. 5, analytical report on the crime prevention initiative in the municipality across the province. 6, an update on the notice of investigations into allegations of maladministration and improper conduct by various states in addressing issues of sinkholes, plugging the Gauteng residents. And lastly, it was the framework for municipal indigent policies and rollout of the indigent register. We've also resolved every Tuesday, and want to extend the invite to you, every Tuesday, myself with all the MECs, together the executive mayors, will physically inspect infrastructure and service delivery challenges in our province as part of the preparations for the G20, which simply means every Tuesday we will walk around the entire province just to determine whether indeed we are ready. Today we are proud to make a public document which will be released to you that outline our readiness.
All right, so that was the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi speaking at a briefing earlier on. And attending that for us was SABC News reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who is in studio with me. So Mbalenhle, let's start with that. Let's pick up from that point that the Premier was talking about. Part of the reports that were being tabled and the issues that he was addressing, finances. We wake up today, there's a story about the Finance Minister Gauteng having written to the Mayor of Johannesburg about the state, the dire state of finances in the city of Joburg, somehow giving an ultimatum. Did the Premier comment on that?
Yes, in fact, he did.
Yeah.
The Premier has expressed his sympathies to municipalities across Gauteng, speaking on the white paper that we know the Minister of COGTA has been getting public comment and public participation from, and even sourcing comments from political parties, which is intended to relook and restructure the funding model of municipalities. Now, what the Premier has acknowledged is that municipalities find themselves in a position where they have dwindling financial sources, right? So how municipalities would be required to get funding or source their funding is through the provision of services. These services include water, electricity, as well as refuse collection. And the policy right now, as it stands, or the act that governs municipalities, requires municipalities to source at least 90% of its revenue, right? But that is difficult when big businesses, and this is what the example that the Premier uses, big businesses like, say, a big mall in the municipality has now moved away from buying or purchasing electricity from the municipality and is now relying on renewable energy. Now, that is a huge chunk of finances or funds that could be assisting the municipality. And now we know that this the white paper is intended to try and lobby government to change that and ensure that government is able to fully fund municipalities, as opposed to the current structure right now, which requires municipalities to source at least 90% of those funds. Now, speaking on the Johannesburg matter, he did express concern. I mean, the article that is being referred to is quite damning, and it refers to irregular expenditure. It also refers to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and these are really big concerns. However, the funds that are in question, this is I think I'm forgetting the term, but I will come back to it. But this is a portion that is given to municipalities, right? And it's not necessarily, it's called equitable share. Yes, that's the term. Equitable share, which is really just a certain percentage of what they need, but it is not enough to cover all of the expenses, because, as you know, 90% comes from what they source and collect. And at the current moment, the municipality, City of Johannesburg to be exact, did publish a budget. However, the budget, according to the Democratic Alliance and the opposition party in Johannesburg, they say that this budget, even though the city claims that it is funded, they believe that it's been funded solely by loan facilities that have been approved within council, and that is unsustainable in the view of the Democratic Alliance. So there are a lot of issues pertaining to the finances of the City of Johannesburg. However, should these funds not make it from Treasury, not make it to the City of Johannesburg's coffers, this could make the City of Johannesburg's ability to provide and deliver services quite difficult, given the fact that they need those additional funds from National Treasury.
All right. So, but that was one aspect. The other bigger aspect had to do with the release of reports by the province's forensic investigations unit. Are these the same reports that the DA was lobbying and pressuring the Premier to release, and saying that he's not been releasing them? He's released some of them today.
Yes, indeed. So you will remember the back and forth. We actually covered media briefings where the Democratic Alliance was accusing the Premier of holding back and holding on to those reports and not making them public. But the Premier had always maintained that these reports had been made public, and it seems as though they had been made public. But however, the delay was that there were some internal disciplinary processes that were being undertaken within the municipality, and also they needed the Premier explaining during that briefing that they need to conceal and protect the identity of the whistleblowers who have come forward to give information, which has enabled the province to be able to compile the various reports that have been mentioned, as 47 reports to be exact, and those reports really have seen some changes within the provincial government and how it's being headed and how it's being run. The Premier announcing that there has been a reshuffle in terms of the heads of departments to ensure that, you know, they are able to really get their grips on, or rather curb corruption at various departments. So those are some of the actions that he has taken so far. But he's also mentioned that some of these reports have been handed over to for further investigation to institutions for criminal investigations and so on. So this could be law enforcement or even the SIU.
All right, Mbalenhle, thank you for that. That's Mbalenhle Mthethwa. She was attending that briefing earlier on by Premier Panyaza Lesufi.